Hi again, fellow unlicensed thinkers. So I wanted to do an update about where I am on the fasting. I am not fasting anymore. I decided to end it at about 50 hours. And that has to do, I don't really feel like that was a failure because I succeeded in doing 50 hours, which is a lot longer than I usually go. Because I usually just do intermittent fasting for 12 to maybe 16, 18 hours, something like that. So doing 50 hours again, uh, that is my record, but I know to a lot that's not too impressive. But what happened is I am very careful when it comes to blood sugar issues because I do historically have this history of having very severe blood sugar crashes and stuff like that. So I haven't had that problem in a long time because I've been taking better care of myself and making sure that I've just over time, I've learned to adjust my diet to be more compatible with who I am and how my body works. And so anyways, a little bit before that 50 hours, maybe a couple few hours, I had been out with some people and doing a lot of talking and stuff like that. And I started feeling kind of drained. And okay, no big deal. That's sort of what you would expect if you've been fasting for, just about right around 2 days at that point. So not too surprising, but it didn't get better. So I waited for it to get better. I wasn't hungry, but I was, like I said, I was waiting for it to get better. I was waiting to see what would happen. And in fact, it got worse. I started getting shaky. And since I don't have another person around, and although Max, my cat, is quite lovely, um, he has actually, back when I had a lot worse problems with sleep apnea, he would actually wake me up when I would stop breathing. So, but that's a whole other thing. Yeah, he would actually kind of pound on the bed if I was making too much noise. But he hasn't done that lately, which tells me that I probably, my sleep apnea has gotten better or he has just gotten more tolerant of it. Anyways, I don't think that the sleep apnea is a problem anymore, and I can usually tell just by the way that I wake up, but that was a big tangent. Let's get back on course here. So anyways, around this 50 hours, I started having really more severe feelings of low blood sugar. And I've done keto for a long time in the past, like very long periods of time, 6 months of really good keto, and then maybe, you could extend that to a year and a half or so of okay-ish keto. And so back then my body was very well trained to get its fuel from, my fat stores and stuff like that. And I think my body has fallen out of that practice. It's not quite as good at it as it used to be. And so, a couple of factors playing into why it got really difficult at that point. Could have been mental, not going to deny that, but this is what made me choose to not do that is I don't want to do anything that's going to put myself or Max in danger. And so I'm just going to do it very carefully since I'm on my own. That's what I would recommend to anyone. Be extremely careful. Don't try to do anything ridiculous, despite the fool being on the background there. I am very careful when it comes to these things. So what I did learn, absolutely, is that fasting has some wonderful benefits. And I do intend upon continuing to extend that time longer. I think that as my body gets more used to it and gets back in the habit of going more time without the food and drawing on those fat stores and glycogen stores that I have, I think I'll be able to go longer. But I'm really not going to worry too much about the going longer part because and I will try fast in the future where I do try to go longer than that 2 days or 50 hours, whatever. And I will try to extend that. But I think what I've learned is the value of a 2 day fast or even a 1 day fast. And that it does have some really great benefits that you can get without putting yourself into sort of an extreme experience. I don't want to say don't go for The more extreme, I'm going to try to do it myself. I think that it's wonderful. It has even further benefits, but I don't think that that we should admonish ourselves for not going that far, because there are wonderful things that you can gain within that first day or two. Because now I've done the 1 day and the 2 day fasts, and I can say that it makes a big difference. I can tell that during that time, so long as I was mostly inactive and I wasn't trying to work out or trying to recover from working out, that my body did a really great job of burning the visceral fat, so the fat around the organs and stuff like that. And that really matters to me because, again, with the history of sleep apnea, any fat that I can get rid of that is around any of the tissues in my abdomen is absolutely wonderful for me. It allows me to breathe better. It allows me to breathe when I bend over, things like that. I used to be much fatter, so I used to have really bad problems with that. And so I'm still curing some of that, some of the problems that came along with being fatter in the past. And so what I think I'm going to do in the future, I'm not going to recommend anything to anybody. Nothing I've said here should be taken as advice, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to every week spend two consecutive days of that week not eating. And I think that not only does it have these health benefits as far as getting rid of that visceral fat, but it also has the mental benefits of giving a different association with food. So we eat because we're out with people. We eat because it's time to eat. We eat because we're bored. Well, the time spent fasting, I think, helps rewire my brain to say, okay, I don't really need to eat. Why am I eating? It makes me think about it. So like when I'm fasting, I can think about, well, do I need to eat? No, I'm fine. And so if I can carry that habit over into my daily life and start saying, well, why am I going to the kitchen right now? Is it because this is just a pattern, or is it because I'm actually hungry, or I actually need that fuel? And then how much fuel do I really need, and things like that. And I mean, that goes into a lot of things like epigenetics and history in your family of, have people had problems with hunger in the past, like say maybe a grandparent living through, or great grandparent, I suppose at this point, living through the Great Depression, or some kind of horrible event of starvation in wherever they may have been. And we don't think that that would affect us, but it does, because that starvation changes the way the fetus develops for that parent or that great grandparent. And then that changes the way their offspring are developed and created, because again, the body adapts. So we are very adaptable creatures. So if there is this indicator of scarcity, then what's going to happen is it's going to say, okay, we need these particular chemicals, or we need these particular, genes or whatever to be activated. And so I have a suspicion, I don't really have any way to prove this, but I have a suspicion that in my family, our bodies are very good at holding on to food, because I believe, just listening to stories from my family, that my grandparents did spend, at least some of my grandparents did spend some time in hardship. And so I think that what happened is, one of the reasons is that it's so easy for me to get fat. The other reason is all up here, and I like food. But one of the reasons that it's so easy for me to put on fat is that genetically my body just really likes to hold on to as much as it possibly can. And so learning to work with that is saying, okay, my body likes to hold on to this food. And so what is my body expecting at that point? Well, it's expecting we're going to have some hardship. And so we need to save as much as possible for this hardship. And since that's what my body wants to do, that's what it is programmed to do. So why fight it? There is no reason to fight it. I'm going to let my body be what it is. I mean, I can change it a little bit and things like that. But if that's what my body says, hey, we're prepared for going a couple of days without food or very minimal food, then what I should do is, at least in my opinion, is I should work with my body. And so my body says, I'm going to miss meals occasionally. I might go days where I miss meals. So, okay, let's work with that. And why I didn't figure this out in my whole long life before this, I don't know, wasn't paying attention. But I figured it out now, and that's all that matters. So I'm going to work with my body. I'm going to say, okay, you are set up to go periods of time without food. Okay, that's what we'll do. Saves me money. Why do I care? And so I think that once I get my body a little bit better retrained into the living in ketosis, that I'll be able to do a lot better. But until then, I'm going to be very happy with complying with what my body wants and expects, which is not eating for periods of time. And I think that both I and my body will be much happier, or at least that's what the evidence seems to indicate at this point. So I stopped the fasting, but I'm going to start it again. Again, I'm not worried about it. And honestly, that I think is probably the best way that we can go into things, is saying that the honest effort that you put into something is a success. So if you don't reach whatever goal it is, well, don't worry about it. You've practiced for reaching that goal later. Maybe you've learned that that's not the right goal. Don't know. But don't beat yourself up about it. I'm certainly not beating myself up about it. I'm very happy with what I did, and I will be trying it again. And if I never make it more than 2 days, great. I have found something that works wonderfully for my body, makes my body happy, and is good for me mentally. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Be sure to hit like and share the video. Have a great day.